And I think we're live. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday, January the 8th, 2021. I am Pro Manhattan, and this is Let's Chat About Autism. I am on the west coast of the USA. I am a autism parent, advocate, sole caregiver, chief cook and bottle washer. You name it, I am it. I want to start off by saying I am not a medical professional. Any advice I give is my opinion. And let's start the show. First off, excuse me. I just woke up. It's 9 o'clock on the West Coast, and I just have my first cup of coffee. I hope you have a nice beverage. Maybe you got your lunch. And we're going to talk about autism. This first show, I thought we would just set some ground rules about come to some sort of agreement of what I can and can't do here, what this place can and can't do, and what autism is and is not. You're going to hear my son in the background. Not a big deal. All right, let me take a sip of coffee. Let me wake up first. All right, let's check out the chat. Rachel's Adventures. Good morning, Rachel. She was the first one here. She was early, too. Lisa at It's Joey's World. Autism caregiver, #1, Supremo. And Joey, gosh, everybody loves Joey. How can you not love Joey? Intelligent, handsome, always smiling. Even when he was doing the videos of feeling sad about quarantine and things like that, he was still smiling. That was beautiful. Ready, Set, Autism family. Hi, guys. Welcome in. So glad you're here. Karki, Carol, my sister from another mister. Good to see you. So good to see all of you here. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time. But I did not want to... I have seen lots of folks who do autism videos on their family members who are diagnosed with autism, and that's fine and great. That works for them. For me, in the past, when I have shared about my autism, I've come up against a lot of judgment, a lot of involvement with agencies. Got a long, horrible story about that. But we made it through, and we are here. Now I lost my train of thought. I've got a piece of paper here. That's why I'm looking down. I wrote down this morning what I wanted to talk about a little bit. Something that's really important that needs to talk about. I don't get into politics on my channel, and I don't get into religion on my channel. I believe everyone should have an opinion, and I respect that everyone has an opinion, and I respect that everyone has an opinion that may be different from mine, and that's okay. I don't want to exclude anyone from my channel based on their beliefs, or any other qualifying or quantifying factor. Everyone is welcome here. However, I think we all need to talk about what happened in the USA this week, in that we have to recognize that we have strong feelings and reactions to it, and those of us who are autism caregivers and have done it for a while, we kind of get into that PTSD syndrome that chaos is normal, and we pull up our bootstraps or our big girl panties, whatever you want to call it, and we get on with the day, and we tend to compartmentalize those feels. And what we have to realize is our kids are charges with autism, they understand what's going on. They watch the news. They hear the news. And it's different than speaking with a neurotypical child, I think, because they internalize these things. When the pandemic started, my son likes to watch the news, and he understood that there was a bad sickness going around and that we had to stay home so we didn't get sick. And we have to wear a mask. When we put our shoes on, we put a mask on. We wear a mask. And he knows if he leaves the house, he must have his mask on, no matter where we go or what we do. And he kind of likes the mask. He likes having, you know, something over his face. He likes to put blankets over his head and stuff like that. So it wasn't that big a deal. But with what's going on, it can be a big scary. And although I don't feel I need to sit down with my son and say, hi, this is what's going on. Let me give you a history lesson. Let me tell you about the Electoral College. You know, no, we don't need to do that. But do check in. How are you feeling? Have you heard or seen anything lately that's making you feel upset? Are you happy? What's going on? Did you see something on TV? You know, did you see this on TV? And with my son is nonverbal. Well, he's not nonverbal. He's highly non-conversational. Most of the time, he's like Groot. Only his word is yes. Instead of I am Groot, he is I am yes. Yes, yes. So I can't limit his exposure. He has a computer in his room. He has an iPad. He has a TV with an antenna. He has access to media and, you know, everything on the internet. He's 15. So I just make sure I check in with him a little bit more right now. And but on top of that, as a caregiver, I have to check in with myself. Yeah. I've got responsibilities, and yeah, it's for me, it's on the other side of the country and blah, blah, blah. But still, this was trauma. What happened, what we witnessed, it was a trauma causing event. And so we're all going to feel a little bit of anxiety. At least we're going to feel unsure. We're going to have feelings and emotions that in the past, in the situations we felt them, we had to, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. All right. In the past, we had to compartmentalize these because, you know, we had to be super caregiver. We had to be super person. But I think right now it's best that if we take a day, if you don't know what's going on in your head, check in with yourself. Cook yourself a nice meal. Watch a movie. I need to sit down and watch Soul on Disney Plus. Sit down and watch a movie. Take a hot shower. But as a caregiver, we need to do some self-caregiving. Too, because I mean, my social media feed was full of friends and family who I think have pretty good lives, and they were like, what are the symptoms of PTSD? What are the symptoms of anxiety? You know, things like that. And I came back and answered them. I said, it's honestly perfectly normal to have anxiety right now, to have conflicting emotions, to have feelings that you're not used to dealing with. One thing I use as a caregiver that helps me keep my caregiving in line, I use an exercise called Circles of Control. And it's very simple to do. You don't need any special tools. I take a piece of paper and I draw a circle in the middle. And inside the circle, I write down all the things I can control. All the things that I can affect or have control on. Outside the circle, I write all the things I have no control over, that I cannot affect at all. As I might have strong feelings about it, but I don't have a dog in that fight, you know? And then You focus on what's inside the circle. I can control my immediate environment. I can control my health, things like that. So that's some things I deal with. So remember to, be a caregiver to yourself too. Now let me get back to the chat. I've been missing chat. Joey makes everybody happy. I couldn't have made it through this year without the videos that you, Lisa, you and Joey and Keith have put out. Joey's an inspiration of how to live life as a journey and not worry about the destination. Fathering Autism is going so much trouble with the agencies. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you put yourself out there, because so many people don't understand, they contact the agencies. I actually, with me, it got to a point where I was sitting in a room with about 15 people representing about 7 different agencies, and they were prepared to remove my son from me that day without conversation. And I basically said, I'm sorry, can I tell you my side of the story first? And told them everything that happened, and they realized they had no legs to stand on. It's a long and involved story. I'll share it some other time, but one of the times that I got involved with Child Protective Services, I posted a picture of my son after Halloween in his Yoshi costume. And if you know Yoshi's got a white tummy. And he was standing against a white wall. And he was standing sideways. So the white tummy blended in with the white wall. And it looked like he was severely malnourished. And somebody saw that on my Facebook feed and called CPS. And of course, when, CPS gets involved, they don't believe the parent. They believe the reporter. Even if the reporter doesn't even, isn't even involved in the family. So anyway, yeah, that is tough. But again, I'm not dragging on anybody, but that is my reluctance for putting my son out there on the internet. If you put your business out there on the internet, you've got to be ready to be attacked and judged by people who don't understand. We have had a bit of a time. Yeah, there's a lot going on. I think it's one of the reasons I moved out here was to get away from a lot of mentalities that I don't find productive in this country. Put it that way. I used to live in Mississippi. So me and Aubrey went to pick up pizza last night. We were walking towards the door. She started pretending, as we were putting on masks, we were going to rob them for all their pizza. That's the crazy thing about all these masks is I can remember, if I went into a store with my hood up on my hoodie, I can put my hood up. Well, you can't really see it because I'm on a black background, but if I had my hoodie up, I'd have to pull my hoodie down. They wouldn't let you in the store with a hoodie pulled over your head. And that's why I had to start wearing scarves. And I'll explain that in a minute. But now people come in, they got the hoodie, they got the glasses, they got the mask, they got all sorts of stuff going on. And, okay, it used to not be okay. Now it's okay. And then out here, they banned plastic bags, and paper bags. You got to pay for them at the store. So it was bring your own bags. And then the pandemic hit and they were like, oh, you can't bring your own bags in here. You have to buy a bag. And it was just crazy. Oh, so crazy. We love pizza too. We have Pizza Tuesday. That's our big treat. Every Tuesday, I order Domino's for CJ. He will remind me. My son's name is CJ, by the way. And he will remind me. He will come to me and say, Pizza Tuesday. Yes, it is. And I pull up Domino's app and we order pizza every Tuesday. We've done it for the last 3 or 4 years. That's about the only thing he'll eat is pizza. And people don't understand that either. Yeah, I will share my story. It's going to take me a little time. Let's see. Car key. Sister had, yeah, exactly. My son early on was an elopist, a runner. If he could get out the door, he would, generally around 2 o'clock in the morning. And somebody saw him. He got out and he was running down the street. I had fallen asleep from exhaustion because even from the time he was first diagnosed, he required eyes on 24/7. So there was no, I couldn't let him out of my sight. And finally, there was one afternoon, one of his siblings was home and supposed to be keeping an eye on him. And I fell asleep. I just could not keep my eyes open. And the sibling went to the bathroom and CJ went out the front door and was running down the street in his diaper. We got him back in the house without incident. Everything was fine. But somebody witnessed that and they called CPS. And CPS came to my door. I wasn't home at the time and CJ was in school. He was in preschool. And don't get me started talking about schools. We will cover schools and IEPs and have conversations about that too. But they called me into the office. I came in and the woman sat me down in a child's chair and she stood up over me and told me I was probably going to prison for felony abuse and felony neglect. They would, they were going to remove him from the home and everything else. This was back in about 2010, I want to say. And I was dumbfounded. I didn't know anything about any of this, how to deal with CPS or what their limits were, what my rights were, or anything. So here I am sitting there thinking, oh my God, I'm going to prison. I'm going to lose my kids because I fell asleep because I can't get any help with my son. And a year went by. I didn't hear anything from him. And then I got a letter in the mail that said, the charges against you were unfounded. Have a nice day. A year later. That was my first real dealing with CPS. So yeah, I've been round and round with them, so I'm real cautious. Oh yeah, the screech. My son, it's he likes to yell. He likes to yell. He always has, and I made sure that I went to all my neighbors. I live in an apartment now. When we lived in a house, it wasn't so bad. I would let the neighbors know, but in the apartments, I did let all of my neighbors know, hey, look, my son has autism. He has volume issues with his computer, the television, with his voice. Some days it's like he's going through the teen years. And so every morning he wakes up, his arms are an inch longer than they were the night before. His legs are an inch longer than they were the night before. His voice is not really in his control. So yeah. I just explained to him, I said, look, he has autism. And they're usually like, we understand, it's all right. But my neighbors are noisier than he could ever be. So anyway, but that's my statement on the current events is, yeah, we got to take care of the kids, but we got to take care of ourselves too. I didn't do any housework yesterday. I didn't. I cooked myself a nice curry and I watched some TV. I played some games on my phone. I mean, I made sure my son was taken care of all day, but I took the day off because I needed to feel my feels. I needed to grieve and mourn for the things that I felt we had lost, or, whatever. I think no matter where you stand politically, I think we all can condemn what happened at our nation's capital yesterday, on Wednesday. We can all condemn that and say, I don't care what you believe, that's not the way. There are right ways and wrong ways. That's not the way to do it. So anyway, enough about that and current events and depressing stuff. Ground rules. As I said, I'm not a professional. I have been an autism parent on my own without much help from anybody around. So I have 15 years of experience. However, I do believe my two older children are on the spectrum. I know my oldest has several sensory issues. When she was little, I read a book called Raising the Spirited Child. And she's 28 now, and she's very functional. I don't talk about high functioning or low functioning, and I'll explain that in a minute. She's got a good life. She's very intelligent, but when she was little, I used to put a cotton sock on one foot and a polyester sock on the other to watch her walk funny. That's horrible. I know it's horrible, but that just demonstrates how serious the sensory issues can be. Whether you are on the spectrum or not, sensory issues can be devastating. So that's my autism experience. Plus, I have a degree in educational psychology, a bachelor's degree, bachelor of science, with an emphasis in special education. I was a 7-year college student, and in that time, I took 1.5 years of special education classes. I've done a practicum in special ed. And I worked with autistic children. Now, this was when I was in my early 20s. And at the time, it was different. It was really different. The children who were diagnosed with autism were very, very severe cases. The ones that had to wear helmets because they would sit and just bang their head on the wall. So that's my background. That's my understanding. I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional counselor or a thing. Any advice I give is purely my advice from experience. I don't pretend to know everything. But I also have years of experience as a research librarian. So if we have something we need to find out about, let's find it together. Google is not a bad place. Google is your friend. You just have to have discernment. You have to know, do your fact checking. Check the reputation of the site you're on. This morning I was pulling up some sites that I want to share with you guys, and a couple of them are supposed to be really reputable sites, and once I got to reading their information, I was kind of like, no. Whoever wrote this has no direct experience with autism, from my point of view, which leads me to the next thing. Your autism is not my autism, and my autism is not your autism. Every child with autism, every person with autism is different, because autism is not a disease. Autism is not an illness. Autism is an umbrella, a collection of behaviors, basically. So, Rain Man, they got some things right, they got some things wrong. I know it used to anger me beyond belief when I would say my son has autism, and they go, oh, that's so cool. What's his special gift? Yeah. Now, granted, my son does speak over 10 different languages, and he is almost fluent in Spanish, which is crazy because I don't speak Spanish. Nobody around him speaks Spanish. He picked it up off of YouTube, reading the closed captioning. Now, some might go, oh, that's a special gift. Well, kinda. If I could understand him, or if he could use it in a daily, productive way. But no, he just chatters away in Spanish or German or Chinese or Japanese or Korean or some Slavic language. We're not sure what language that is, but anyway, he is very musically inclined, but so are a lot of neurotypical kids. So don't classify, there is no special gift. There are things that people with autism have focused on and devoted their attention to that has made them very, like Joey with sports. He just didn't wake up and know all these facts. He has devoted himself. That was an area of interest that he devoted himself to, and he learned all of it. But it took that, it took him a desire to focus on that area. And now it's paying off because he's very, personally, I have trouble with The Good Doctor because I don't think anybody who isn't directly involved with autism can portray, and I haven't watched The Good Doctor. I've only seen scenes of it. And I would say that, maybe they have some sensory issues, maybe they have some social issues, but that autism doesn't look anything like my autism. And it's frustrating for those of us who have people in their lives with severe behavioral issues and developmental delays. Like I said, my son knows over 10 languages. That doesn't mean he can go be an interpreter for a courthouse or something like that. My son is very musically inclined. That doesn't mean he's going to be writing symphonies next week because his attention span is only so long, So it's frustrating. Let's see, let me catch up. It was good to have. Yeah, it was good to have because it started conversations. And I think with The Good Doctor and the movie The Accountant, maybe that's what they're there for, is just to start the conversations. And Lord knows we need more conversations about autism. At least she's beautiful. God, that's pathetic. I don't know if you've noticed, but all people with autism are beautiful. All children are beautiful. How can you qualify that? Yeah. Okay, Carol, thanks for being here. Yes. Excuse me. Good to see you. I'm so glad you dropped by. Yeah. At least, jeez. Yes, and that is the thing that is so important, is we normally think of boys when we think, autism. And then the rare case where a girl has autism, everybody's like, oh, that's so rare. No, it's not rare. It's just that girls are supposed to be quiet. Girls are supposed to be reserved, and boys are expected to be yeah. Or they think there's the whole self-diagnosis crowd where they see that and they go, "Oh, I have autism," you know. The self-diagnosis crew. That's the two groups that I wish I could reach in sometime in my life. Are the, you know, with your child sounds so much like CJ. CJ just does not care what anybody thinks about him. He is himself. He stems. We go to pick up our lunch from the lunch bus a couple days a week. He's in school a couple days a week. Good news. The school got in touch with me. The teacher got in touch with me, and she said, all right, starting January the 19th, your child can either go to school 4 days a week, have in-person learning, or can be fully remote learning. Which would you prefer? And I went to the thesaurus and looked up every synonym to the word absolutely. And I had this string of synonyms. My son will absolutely, completely, positively, indubitably, without a doubt or question, attend in-person learning 4 days a week. I've fought hard with this. A reporter from the local news helped me with it. But yeah, so my son's going back 4 days a week. But we'll walk to the lunch bus. He doesn't walk. He jumps. He needs those springs on his feet like they have in the 50s movies, you know? But CJ does not care. I have to remind him to put on clothing. I have to remind him, you know, mask over the nose. He'll walk through a store stimming. Whoops. Okay. You got that, Lisa. Good. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why yeah, anyway. Yeah, and that's the thing. At first I was ashamed and I was embarrassed, and I kept him inside. We had gone to the church where I had been choir director for many years, music director. And I had to leave that job because no one would help me with childcare, and I couldn't have him with me up in front of the choir, you know. What? Okay, in about 20 minutes. 20 minutes. But I couldn't have him with me, and there was no one else to take care of him, so I had to leave that job. And so we were in a service, and he was sitting next to me, and he started to started with his echolalia, with just blah 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 blah, you know, and he was repeating TV shows that he likes. And about 4 members of the youth group who knew he was autistic. We had another child with autism who was in the youth group and everything. And when they turned around and glared at me and glared at him. And it was, he was only like 3, 4. So it was early in our diagnosis. I wasn't the bear mom I am now. And I took that personally. And we never went back, and we have not been back. And I was embarrassed, so I wouldn't take him anywhere. And he didn't learn how to exist in social situations. And so there was a retraining period. And then I got to the point where if people can bring their neurotypical children into the store and their faces are dirty, their hair is wild, they're wearing a princess costume or their doggy pajamas or whatever. All right, Chris, thanks for coming by. Amanda will still be here. Great. Thank you for dropping by. I do appreciate it. But the neurotypical children, and they're running up and down the aisles, and they're screaming, and they're tearing things up, and they're throwing temper fits. And I take my son to the store, and he is either holding the basket or holding my hand and looking at what's going on, picking out things he wants. My son is so well behaved, and I finally got to the point where I said, who cares if he is muttering to himself? Took off all, yes. We had the hardest time with the school bus, Amanda, because CJ, this is when we first had to get him into cam straps in the school bus. If you don't know what cam straps are, it's an H-shaped seatbelt system that has big rings on the tops of the shoulders and big rings at the waist. And there's a strap that goes over the school bus seat with clips, and the clips clip into the rings. We had to get him in the 4-way cam straps because his first time on the bus, he got up and ran up and down the aisles. He took off his shoes and socks. He threw his socks out the bus window. He tried to open the emergency exit. Oh my gosh. And I was mortified. And the bus driver was like, we're going to learn this. We're going to learn how to do this. But first, we're going to have to strap him down. But that's wonderful that you have such a positive, accepting church environment. I had to just, out here it's different. Out here in Western Washington, people are rudely polite or politely rude. I was raised in the South. I understand the Southern hospitality, the taking care of your neighbor, that kind of thing. I do miss that. I don't miss much else. But out here, we don't have that. It's, yeah. The expectations are different. Even though Washington has one of the highest rates of autism, which leads me to something that people have brought up to me and asked me, and I've had to do some research, but I also rely on my background and my education. People say, well, this autism stuff, what's causing it? Is it new? No. Lisa can attest to this too. When children were young and displayed the behaviors and the symptoms, if you will, of autism when they were younger, they were just slow. Or they were mentally retarded. That was a medical term for a while. And I remember special ed when I was in college. There were 3 different classrooms. And you had the severely MR class, the trainable MR class, and the mild MR class. And that was all special education was. Yeah. Too many times I have heard from parents or caregivers that their mother was told, just send them away. Just send them away. Put them in the state hospital or this infirmary or whatever. Send them away to this site and forget about them and try again. Thank goodness we realized that these children aren't much different than any other children. Autism is not a disease. Autism is a way of life. I watch a lot of YouTubers with disabilities, from multiple sclerosis, muscular dystrophy, they had accidents and now they're paralyzed, things like that. And I've learned so much on how to feel about autism from watching them, because they'll get questions like, do you miss not being able to walk? Do you miss being able to walk? And the answer was no, because I've never known what walking was like. I've been in a wheelchair all my life. How am I going to miss something that was never a part of me? You know, this chair is how I get around, and I don't look down on myself and go, oh, I can't walk. It's like, I don't know what walking is like, so how can I miss it, you know? And it's given me a lot of courage. My hopes for this is, I was in a stream for crafting a week or two ago, and I mentioned my son had autism, and one of the people said, oh, I'm a grandparent. My grandson just was diagnosed, or my granddaughter, I can't remember which. And I want to support the family, but I don't know how. And so I thought, with those of us who are experienced with autism, we could help those who want to help but don't know how. Because how many times have you had to say thank you, but that's not helping, you know, and had to be gracious and grateful when the person, you know, because the intent was to be supportive and be helpful, but that's not helping, you know. So to educate, to share our knowledge and educate and provide a safe space without judgment, without cheerleading. Not I don't want this to be an Amway meeting where we all tell each other how wonderful we are. Yeah, go team. No, it's not that, because this is just real life. Yeah, the fish doesn't miss the dry land because it's not their life. You know, that's all they know. My son doesn't miss Santa Claus because my son never cared about Santa Claus. He was this loud guy in a red suit, and he hates the color. You know, it's his favorite color, but he hates the color red. To see the color red hurts his eyes. So, you know, my son doesn't miss Christmas. He has his own idea of what Christmas is. So autism is a way of life. I don't think I need to go through the lists and educate you guys on myths about autism or any of that. But I will say I did pull up a couple websites. For my replay viewers, if you're watching the replay, please leave me a comment down below. Say I watched. If you are here to learn about autism, welcome. Glad you're here. Reach out. Let me know who you are and why you're watching. I know these people in the chat right now. I know them all pretty well. And Festivus. It's funny. I'm just going to spend the rest of the time telling stories about my son because I got to share about him. Because we don't have grandparents. We don't have, you know, I'm lucky that right now they're giving me some DDA. Yeah, myths would be good. I'd like to have you on for that too. Because Lord knows you've got a lot more experience with this than I do. And Joey is such an amazing individual, and it just is a testament to you and your mother and your father, the rest of the family, everybody who loves Joey. It's a testament to all of you, because it takes a village. And I've been in the village all by myself. So, I was going to tell a story about my son. Oh, last year, we changed schools. And I'm going to do one show on just IEPs in schools because, oh my gosh, we really have slipped through the cracks all our lives. The public school system is hit or miss. But last year, the school took a field trip to the local Dollar Tree, and they prepped us ahead of time, said send some money so your child can go Christmas shopping. Well, CJ had never gone Christmas shopping for anybody. So they took him shopping, and he came home and he brought home this big Dollar Tree bag and handed it to me. So I said, okay, well, let's see what you bought. So I'm pulling out these action figures and toys and everything else, and I get to the bottom, and there's this teacup that says, "It's so good to be home." And I picked it up and I looked at it and I said, "Did you buy this for me?" And he yanked it out of my hands and set it on the coaster next to me and said, "Mommy's teacup." And I picked it up and I was looking at it and I went, "Really? You bought this for me? Is this my Christmas present?" And he set it, grabbed it, snatched it away again and set it down next to me and said, "Mommy's teacup." And his attitude was just, "Merry Christmas. Here you go. I bought you a cup. Let's get over it," you know? And the reason I say he's non-conversational but not non-verbal, a couple years ago, he was playing a video game on his computer and he was getting a little anxious and, you know, frustrated and everything else. And I said, "I think it's time someone turned off the game." And he mutters under his breath, "I think it's time that Mommy shut up." He has two voices. He has his loud, yeah, right, Lisa? That exactly. It was very straightforward. "I bought you a cup. Here, Merry Christmas." I may slip up now and then and say curse words like damn or hell and stuff like that. That just, sometimes it comes out. I apologize, but this show isn't for children. The show is for adult caregivers of people with autism. So there you go. Put it out there. Anyway, he has two voices. He has his loud voice. He will come in and say, "I want Rising Crust Pizza, please, because I am hungry." And he will say it clear and everything. But then he also has this very soft, high-pitched voice that he'll talk to me. And you got to listen. And it's very fast and very high-pitched, almost like he's unsure about it, you know. And so I try to encourage the softer voice as much as I praise the loud voice. He's got a sense of humor, though. The other day I was in here doing something in my studio, and I heard a knock on the door, and I went flying out because nobody ever knocks on my door. We are very isolated, just me and him. I have no family. My parents passed in the early 2000s. My grandparents passed in the 90s. No sisters, brothers, anybody here. I have no community here. It's just me and him. My community is online. And so I go flying to the front door, and he's standing there by the front door, kind of stimming, kind of bouncing. And I open the front door, get the special, we have a hotel door lock, you know, because he used to like to run. He's not running as much anymore. But I open the door, I look, there's no package, there's no people, there's no nothing. And I'm like, there's nobody here. And I turned around and looked at CJ, and he's standing there going. And I said, "Did you trick me?" And he bursts out laughing so hard, he falls on the floor. He's rolling in the floor laughing. He had tricked me. He knocked on the front door. Hilarious. Hilarious. And then, Lisa, I know I told you about Wash the Disc. He has all these gaming systems. He handles the DVDs or the CDs with sticky fingers. They get gunky and they won't work in the thing. So I take them and I wash them with Dawn soap and then dry them off, and they work fine. And he comes in my room very frustrated and says, "Wash the damn disc." Wow, CJ. While I appreciate your ability to express yourself, that's great that you can express that you're feeling frustrated that way. However, maybe not use that word damn. That's not really a good word to use. Can we say that sentence again and show our frustration and not use that middle word? And he hands me the disc and says, "Wash the disc, please." And I went, "Oh, that's wonderful. Look at you showing how frustrated you are. Yes, sir, I will wash that disc for you." But he does get it. He gets a lot of things. And that was another thing I want to go into is these kids are not dumb. These kids are not stupid. In most cases, I feel most of those affected with autism have average to very high IQs. That guy can crack a password on a cell phone in less than a minute, and he can be installing 4 different things, Mario Kart things, on your cell phone if he gets a hold of it. He can reprogram the smart TV. 30 seconds. You can't even keep up with how fast he's moving the cursor around to change the color and the picture and the audio. And he loves to set the audio to another language. And to this day, I can't figure out how to turn it off. So I'll turn it on and it'll have the Spanish version. I was watching The Mandalorian the other day, and I went back and I was watching one of the first episodes, and they come on and they're speaking in this foreign language, and I'm like, I don't remember them speaking in a foreign language in this part. And I had to go, and it took me 15 minutes to set the language on the TV back to English so I could watch it. I think those with autism, a lot of them do have super intelligence. But I've always said that my son was just one step out of this dimension. The brain is 200%, you know, I've got an Einstein in there, but because of the language difficulties and the speech, you know, that you ask him a question, it might take him up to 2 minutes to come up with the answer yes, but it's the processing speed, you know. Maybe if we could figure out how to put a little more RAM and you know, upgrade him. I'm just waiting for us all to get that USB plug back here, you know. I could use a memory upgrade too. Oh, I was going to tell you, with the scarf, you might have noticed if you watch my Instagram, I shaved my head again. It's a COVID thing. It's not a Britney Spears thing. But with our lives, because I can't be 10 feet away from him, you know, he's attention all the time. I don't get the showers I wish I could get. I don't have the time to fix my hair, and, you know, because there's not, you know, and it's not that I have a lot of people, when I say I'm a single caregiver, they say, oh, isn't it a shame that the dad won't be involved in, you know, your son's life? And I have to say, well, my son's dad passed away in 2009. I'm a widow. And to this day, anybody who has come into my life, I've had to tell them up front, I'm sorry, I can't really get into a relationship because my son comes first. My children come first. And there's just, unless you're coming into this household to be devoted to my son 100%, and I'll get to you once he's grown, I'm sorry. So that's, you know, that's why I haven't remarried. That's why there's no child support. There's no deadbeat dad, nothing like that. To the families who are that way, I'm terribly sorry. My husband, before he passed, was in denial about CJ's autism, and he believed we could cure it if we just got enough sensory toys and we just pushed him, we could push him right through it. And I think that's, yeah, I got to wrap up here. We're coming to the end of the hour. I think that's the last point I want to make about autism, and I think you guys will probably agree with me. You come to a point where you realize nobody's coming to save your child. This is the way. This is how it is. This is the way of life. This is what your child is. There may be therapies and exercises and environments that can help your child learn life skills and work skills and things like that. But at the end of the day, there's no medicine that's going to cure this. There's no prayer that's going to cure this. There's, Sleeping Beauty is my favorite story. And when Maleficent puts the curse on Sleeping Beauty and says, you're going to die, and she leaves, and the fairies come back and they go, hey, we can't take this away, but we can make it easier to make this journey. Autism isn't terminal because it's not a disease, but it's just the way he is. Some kids have, I'm blessed that my son doesn't have any severe behavioral issues. He doesn't have anger issues because I've raised him with love, and I've raised him with the ability to feel his feels and communicate them. I'm not saying that all children, aren't raised as well as my son. I'm just saying that the way I chose to interact with my son for the past 15 years, he hasn't displayed any violent tendencies. I think environment has a lot to do with managing behavior. Let me just put it that way. Yeah, respect and understanding. And I haven't spoiled him. I don't give him everything he wants, but I explain things to him. I've never spoken to him like it was a baby. Except we do talk in third person because he gets confused with I and you and me with pronouns. He gets confused. So it's mommy and CJ, And he does understand a lot. He understands COVID. He understands a whole lot. He's a beautiful boy. I thank you all for being here today and sharing. I think this is the start of something amazing and fantastic. I hope that we can all come together. I hope to have each of you on my show. Maybe we can do some collaborations. Lisa, we're looking to get to Florida. We've started talking about it possibly in August. And I can't wait for Joey and CJ to meet. Oh, Amanda, no. I understand. I understand completely. Trust me. This is the first show in a long time where my son I haven't had to pause the show to take care of my son. So no, I understand. Thank you for being here, and let's carry this on. I'll be here every Friday. Call your friends, call your family. When you meet somebody and they say, gosh, I want to help, but I don't know how. Hey, send them in here. Let's put our heads together. Let's figure out how we can teach people how to help us in a productive way. Peace and blessings upon you, upon all you love, and upon all who love you. Find your passion. Grab a hold of it. My passion is my son. And don't let it go. We are doing this. We know how to do this quarantine thing. We know how to do this isolation. We know how to take things in small steps and do day-by-day stuff. So let's share that knowledge, and let's help everyone understand that we're okay. And it's about the journey, not the destination. I will see you guys Sunday. We're going to make a dream board on Sunday. We're going to talk about making a dream board, a vision board on Sunday, how to use it, what it is, all sorts of things. I hope you'll join me then, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. Have a blessed, wonderful Friday, and remember to take care of yourself. Do something for yourself today. Bye for now.